Well, hello everyone. Welcome to my room, guys. I hope you're well today. Today we're going to talk about INFJ humility. Interesting topic. Hopefully you agree with this. Now, before we get into a good groove, remember, you can get my book on the INFJ, the Ecstatic Soul, at the link below, less than $10. It's an authoritative work, pretty deep. Check it out. You can also check my novel, The Infinite Castle, which has an INFJ as the main character, apparently. That's the rumor. Check it out, less than $10 as well. I have a Patreon page where you can support my work. Anywhere from €3 a month massively helps me keep going with this channel. So I appreciate anybody who's supporting. Now, are INFJs humble? You know, that's a question that I thought was interesting to raise. I was asking myself that question earlier today. And I thought I might make a video on this because, well, it turned out that I couldn't really easily answer it. You know, I couldn't easily answer the question, are INFJs humble? Because, like for many things, INFJs are a little bit contradictory when it comes to humility. You will meet INFJs who are really humble, who don't like to put themselves first, who don't like to sort of stand out and make grandiose, pretentious claims about what they've achieved or what they think that they can achieve. And you'll meet INFJs who are in fact, you could argue, too self-effacing. INFJs that really prefer to be in the background, who are uncomfortable standing in the spotlight. And, sometimes these INFJs will be Enneagram type 6 INFJs, but not necessarily. Of course, INFJs who are very altruistic, maybe type 2 INFJs who won't put themselves first, they put others first. You might come across these INFJs as well. But you will also meet INFJs who are, I wouldn't so much say that they are, lacking humility or that they are pretentious, but they certainly have grand ambitions for themselves. Whether it is an ambition to uncover the truth about a particular topic, or INFJs who have, in mind the idea that they're animated by a sense of mission. INFJs that have great plans to create a work of fiction or some other work, to realize in their life. They might feel like they don't quite have the resources to gather together in order to turn this ideal into reality, but nevertheless the ideal exists. And we're back to this idea that the sense of vocation, the sense of having a vocation, the sense of having something that they are destined to do, they have a destiny, and that the plan is to kind of figure out what that destiny is and how to fulfill it, how to bring it to reality, how to realize it, given the resources of the modern contemporary world. Often this vocation is a vocation that is quite ambitious, whether it is spiritually ambitious or intellectually ambitious. Of course, the vocation doesn't have to be ambitious in this sense, or it can be, if you like, quite a down-to-earth vocation. But the fact of the matter is, a lot of the time it's a bit more grandiose, based on conversations I have with INFJs who are open about this. And here we might be brought to the trope, if you like, the INFJ trope of being connected to being a seer or a prophet, someone who sees things that others don't see. These are not very humble things to talk about or to contemplate or to consider. And you even have INFJs who oscillate between, or who mix and blend a certain modesty of presentation. Modesty in the sense you don't really show, you listen, good listeners, you let people speak, but nevertheless inside their own minds, the notion of what they see themselves as, or see themselves as capable of, or see themselves as harboring a certain potential that needs a trigger so that they can actually grow towards the realization of something much grander, nevertheless exists. So you could have at the very same time someone who has the appearance of being, a good listener, discreet, and someone who doesn't boast. INFJs don't really boast, it's true. So if we define humility as the absence of boasting, I think we could say that INFJs are humble. However, if we consider that boasting is only a crass and superficial and tactless form of the lack of humility, and that there can be certain forms of a lack of humility in terms of having grand visions for oneself. Certainly you will see that in some INFJs. The question is that a bad thing, or is that a healthy thing? And that, as Nietzsche, there's a reason why I did make a video on Nietzsche recently. Nietzsche would have us believe that we have no reason not to hold ambitious, objectives for ourselves, and that, that in order to be fully creative and fully free and fully satisfied, we ought to embrace that possible destiny and not feel always that, I've got to hide this from others because they're going to judge me as being a delusional maniac or whatever. The very fact that we are taking an interest as INFJs into, in our INFJ personality and in our unique predicament, you could argue is already going to be interpreted by some people as a lack of humility and as spending too much time analyzing ourselves as if we're so important that we deserve the time we spend to analyze ourselves and to understand our destiny, our objectives. So I think that the question is not so easily settled. You have on the one hand the thoughtful, discreet INFJ who's a good listener, but who could be at the very same time someone who holds rather grand thoughts about themselves. Again, not necessarily about like, I'm the best in the world, I'm going to be the richest person, but I am more profound than the average person, I am deeper than the average person. My destiny is to maybe enlighten others, help others open their eyes. If I'm given the resources, I can actually achieve grand ambitions. That exists as well. So to say that INFJs that you come across are not humble, or if someone were to say, well, this person identifies as an INFJ, but they're clearly not humble in terms of what they conceive about what they're capable of, they cannot be INFJ. That is wrong. You can come across INFJs who are perfectly valid, legit INFJs who don't come across as humble. And you can come across INFJs that do. And they're not necessarily pitted one against the other. They are, in some sense, two faces of the same personality, which would lead us then to wonder, what is humility? Is humility a good thing? Nietzsche thought humility was a horrible thing because it was a cultivation of weakness. We could argue humility is a good thing, but maybe, humility shouldn't stop us from having grand ambitions, from having ambitions to transcend ourselves. So there's a difference then between how we interpret humility and how humility can be conceived as a collection of other people's views on what it is, and therefore makes you the person that you are in their eyes. And because INFJs have FE, often they're very susceptible to that kind of view as well. Anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think INFJs are humble, not humble, both? A paradox? We know INFJs are. Let me know in the comments. Don't forget my Patreon page, and see you tomorrow, guys.